the best kept secret in SM64 speedrunning are lag frames. Used in every world record, reducing lag is an extremely important part of speedrunning Super Mario 64. This is because the most commonly used version at the top level of SM64 is Nintendo 64. Lag occurs because the Nintendo 64 has only so much processing power, and there are areas of the game where lag is inevitable. Or is it? While at this point using Nintendo 64 is a tradition of the community, it had initially been adopted by the Japanese players who had first shown the world this game's incredible depth and potential as a speedrun. Tradition isn't the only thing holding the N64 in its position, however, as any player who uses it, including myself, will tell you that it feels the best. I've played on emulator and virtual console on Wii, but nothing can quite compare to the genuine experience of playing on N64. Now, back to the topic of lag frames. Why and where exactly do they show up? And how are speedrunners utilizing the game's mechanics to reduce as much of it as possible, without you even knowing? Firstly, the N64 is no powerhouse. It tries its best, and it does pretty well, but there are moments in the game where there is simply too much going on to load at an optimal speed. I had the opportunity to talk with Drogie, one of the most knowledgeable players on lag reduction strats in SM64, and here's his explanation of lag.
So the N64 is quite an old console. It's not the fastest. There is only 4 megabytes of RAM that SM64 actually uses. So when SM64 is running on the console, it's gotta calculate a lot. All the musics, the physics, the sounds, and especially all the polygon triangles Mario and the map consist of. So when there is too much for the console to calculate, it will add lag.
Super Mario 64 runs at 29.97 FPS, while lag frames occur at 59.94 FPS. Now I know what you're thinking. What the does that mean? Well, basically, whenever you experience a lag frame, you're losing half a frame of time. So for every 2 lag frames, you lose 1 frame of time, or 0.03 seconds approximately. And in order to get a good sense of how laggy something actually is, there is a lag frame counter in the upper left corner of a lot of these clips. So for every 2 counted, that's 1 frame of in-game time. Interestingly, some companies recognized that lag was inevitable and had built-in behavior to deal with it, like in Donkey Kong 64. In Donkey Kong 64, whenever there is lag, the game actually gives the player more speed to make it feel like there isn't as much lag as there is. Of course, speedrunners need to get as much of that succulent time save as they can get their clammy hands on, so they found an exploit in DK64 that abuses the speed boost to clip through walls. But that game is busted anyway, so whatever. Anyways, back to the Red Hat guy. Unfortunately, or fortunately, lag works just how you would think in Super Mario 64, slowing down gameplay. Obvious instances of lag show up in levels like Dire Dire Docks, as the submarine's polygon count is too dang high. Same thing with Jolly Roger Bay's ship. Less obvious examples include, but are not limited to, breaking a 10 coin box, saving after a star, ground pounds, opening doors, and flame spitters. So what are some tricks runners use to keep these lag frames to a low? Let's take a peek. The most common way that runners reduce lag is by taking advantage of the way the game renders objects. Whatever is in view will be rendered. Drogie explains the importance of this quite well.
So when you move the camera away from complicated parts of the map, the console has to render less polygons and the game runs faster.
In knowing this, you can turn the camera away from lots of objects like in Fire Sea. Or Dire Dire Docks. To get massive time saves.
This
time save
ain't free.
With these sometimes wonky camera angles that don't allow you to see as well, it makes it more difficult to do what would normally be quite straightforward. But with practice, anything is possible. Other cool examples of using the camera to our advantage is going Mario Cam in various areas, like sliding down the cool mountain. Or as you break a 10 coin box. My personal favorite lag reduction is done when entering Dire Dire Docks. If you click R twice at the right time, The camera will change its positioning to reduce almost half a second of lag as you enter the water. Doing this 6 times ends up saving some seconds. I like it because it doesn't even look like anything is happening, and this is the case with many lag reductions. If you're interested in seeing a compilation of lesser known lag reduction strats, I will link a video that Drogie made showcasing just that in the description. One of the biggest time saves came to fruition when legendary Japanese runner Nero came back from an extended break to complete his bot project, in which he one by one knocked players off the leaderboard with grace. His comeback was epic, and he showed us a lot of new things, pushing many barriers of the game. Thank you, Nero. His biggest contribution to the SM64 speedrunning community, besides being dad, would have to be the continue no save time save. Each time Mario collects a star and pops out of a level and gives his cheek a little rub, a menu pops up. You can either save and continue, save and quit, or continue no save. For the longest time, runners had picked save and continue, but Nero had been doing continue no save in his 120 runs. It seemed like magic how he was able to save so much time over our runs with seemingly similar movement in many stars, but the time saved from not saving adds up. Runners already weren't saving on some stars, such as 100 coin stars, as it is very simple. You hold right as the menu pops up asking to save, and it will automatically select a no. It's mostly the same with MIPS and other secret stars, however, depending on what direction was held while selecting an option on the most previous menu, be it a pause menu or saving menu, you may need to tap right instead of holding right, and players were already doing this as well. I personally never noticed the lag from saving, but over the course of many continue no saves, the time adds up. If done perfectly, each continue no save will save 12 lag frames, saving 6 in-game frames. So let's do the math. Don't be scared. Counting all the times Mario pops out of a stage into this menu, we have 90 from main stages, 3 from cap stages, 2 from the slide, 2 from Bowser stages, 1 from the aquarium, and 1 from Wing Mario over the rainbow, totaling 99 times he pops out. 99 times 6 in-game frames saved from not saving is 594 frames. Divide that by 30 and we've got 19.8 seconds saved. That is an insane amount of potential time saved from changing one thing you do in a speedrun. Players have grinded hours just to save a second, and to be able to save almost 20 seconds from changing one thing you do, that is crazy. Of course, humans aren't perfect and won't end up saving that much time, but even saving 10 seconds from just that strategy alone is remarkable. And you might be thinking, well, Big Daddy Simp, if it only saves 6 frames, how can that even save time, as it must surely take more than 6 frames to scroll down to continue no save, right? And that is a very good question. The thing is, there is a buffer of 10 frames before you can actually select one of these options. That's why it's fairly common to see in task gameplay vigorous scrolling through the menu before actually selecting an option. Now again, time save. It ain't free, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, you must scroll down to the option of continue no save. You cannot scroll up and wrap around to the bottom. This means that you pass save and quit. And when you're trying to do it as fast as possible, one is eventually going to hit save and quit and pretty much lose the run. It's always a looming threat that haunts my memories. There has been a somewhat recent discovery of a workaround for this, however. By holding left or right in the star select screen before selecting a star, when you come out of the level and hold down, the game basically stores the scroll speed from the star select menu, because that makes sense, and allows one to instantly scroll to continue no save, which is a task in and of itself, as some stars require a certain star to be selected to be able to do them. If you'd like to learn more about this trick and how it works, I will link a short and sweet video explaining it by IsaacA in the description. As you can see, there's been a lot of thought put into lag reduction. Drogie expands on this nicely.
There's hundreds of lag reduction strats throughout SM64, and doing them saves a considerably high amount of time during a speedrun. When people have put hundreds of hours into research for lag reduction, they tested everything, all the cameras, all the inputs, just to maybe save another 0.1 seconds.
So, is it all worth it? Absolutely. You cannot even compete at the top level without doing lag reduction. Jolly Roger Bay and Dire Docs alone would lose upwards of a minute due to lag if you didn't reduce any. Continue no save is also pretty much mandatory at this point, as it saves so much time. Drogie estimates that basic lag reduction would save over a minute in 120 and quite a bit less in a 70-star run, but this is his motto.
if the lag reduction is super free, it doesn't matter how much you save with it, you know, it's just free time save, so why wouldn't you do it?
It isn't something that you necessarily need to worry about as a beginner or even an intermediate player. However, incorporating lag reduction when you learn something is more efficient than learning a strat, then bringing in lag reduction, as some stars can change drastically. For example, Jolly Roger Bay on Nintendo 64 is a completely different star than playing on Virtual Console. You have to keep your camera tilted to the side for most of the level. It's more awkward than you'd think, but eventually you get used to it, and that's just part of the game. Looking at current players on the leaderboard, let's see Drogie's take on who's got the best lag reduction game.
The most optimal lag reducers, I believe, are IsaacA, LiamKings, and Tabascoth, followed by maybe D-Whatever and Toast Rider. But even other runners also, or especially some top players, lose quite a few seconds because they miss out on lag reductions. Sometimes I'm surprised because they put so much time into learning very difficult movement that saves them like a fraction of what easy lag reductions would save them. That even names like cheese or punctation, sorry I still love you too, don't do. There is in fact stuff that almost no one does.
In conclusion, there's a lot of thought that goes into this game, whether it be through optimizing a strat via movement or figuring out how you can beat the game with as little amount of A presses as possible, or simply through lag reduction. Every little thing counts. Research will continue to be done and more lag frames will be saved as time goes on. I believe that the next era of SM64 speedrunning might be one that we can't notice as easily. Imagine if you can reduce 2 lag frames on every star in 120 star. That's 240 lag frames, which is 120 in-game frames, which is 4 seconds, without even changing your strats, just your camera. From skipping the saving of a star get to turning your camera away from objects that are too much sauce, there's a lot of room for improvement in this game. Thank you so much for watching, and once again, let me know if you're enjoying the YouTube content. Leave a comment, leave a like, bop that bell, you know the whole thing, whatever dude. Okay, I'm out now, bye.